Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family.
Hello everyone, it's Donna Gray here, your Stamping Up demonstrator from the Northern Rivers area in New South Wales, Australia. I'm so super excited to be bringing you one of my technique videos. So I hope you're enjoying the series that I'm doing here on YouTube. And here is another awesome technique, so let's get stamping.
Find a friend who does just what they love and lets it show. One card at a time can really change the way we live.
Hello everyone and welcome to one of my technique videos. You are going to love this technique. It is super awesome. It is called the stained glass technique. Now there's many different ways of how to do this stained glass technique out there. This is one way that I thought was quite exciting and quite interesting when I discovered that I could heat emboss onto our window sheets. So my name is Donna Gray. I'm a Stamping Up demonstrator from the Northern Rivers area in New South Wales, Australia, and I'm going to bring you this fun technique today. So what you're going to need is we're going to use the Forever Blossom stamp set. We're going to use a combination of our Cherry Cobbler light and dark blends and our dark Old Olive. We're also going to use some Versamark and our gold embossing powder, and I've used some of the stitched rectangles to actually cut a shape out of the front of my card. So, and we need some window sheets. I'm just going to pop all those things aside and we're going to start with the 2 window sheets. So you're going to need 2 window sheets. Now this is cut at 5.5 inches by 4 inches. So I've got 2 pieces, 5.5 by 4. Now, I'm also using my Stamparatus for this because the reason behind using the Stamparatus is you want to be able to stamp in the exact same places on both of these window sheets, okay? So that's why I've used the Stamparatus. So I've mounted my stamp here on my Stamparatus and I'm going to butt my window sheet up, and I'm also going to use the embossing buddy because with our window sheets you're going to have a lot of static on the window sheet, so you don't want your embossing powder sticking to fingerprints or to anything that we don't really want it to stick to. I'm going to pop my magnets on that window sheet just to hold it in place. I can grab the other magnet from underneath. Be careful not to put your magnets close together because they will clang together and they will break. So we're going to make sure we've got that nice and up in that corner of our Stamparatus. So we've done the embossing buddy. I'm just going to go back over again because I did touch that window sheet again. So then I'm going to grab my Versamark ink. Now Versamark is a clear, sticky watermark ink, and I'm going to ink up my beautiful cherry blossom in Versamark ink. And I'm going to stamp that down onto that window sheet. Now you'll need a heat gun for this, and one of the main things you need to remember is to make sure that you are very careful when you're heat embossing with your vellum sheet, that with your window sheet, that you don't end up melting your window sheet. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle on my gold embossing powder onto that stamped image. So be very careful with your stamped image that you don't move your window sheet at all and smudge your stamped image, because it is hard when you're stamping onto something like a slippery surface like this. So then we're going to tip our embossing powder back into our container and shake off as much as we can off that image. Now, you will see that you get lots and lots of embossing powder. Just turn it over and flick it off on the back, and you'll see then it becomes much more clearer. Okay, so we're going to do that one and we're going to place that aside. We're going to bring in our second window sheet, which, where did I put my second window sheet after all that? Ah, here. Can't see it because it's clear. All right, so we're going to mount our second window sheet in there. We're going to pop our magnets on. We're going to use the embossing buddy once again on that window sheet, making sure that we haven't got anything on that window sheet that we don't want to have on there. We're then going to ink up our stamped image again with our Versamark and stamp down onto that second window sheet. You're going to say, why do we need to do 2 window sheets? And as we progress on with doing this, you will see why. So sprinkle on that gold embossing powder once again over the image. Take your magnets off and empty the excess into your container again. When you get the most of it off, that's when you turn it over and flick it to get the majority of it off there. And we look like we have some smudgy things on there, but that's okay. All right, so now the fun part is the heating, and you've got to be very careful, as I said, that you don't heat it too much. So I'm just going to put my Stamparatus off to the side. And we're going to bring in the heat tool. Now, when I heat emboss, I heat from the bottom, underneath. Warm your heat tool up first before you start, and then you will see it won't take much for the heat embossing. See, you can see it happening straight away already. So make sure you don't hold your heat gun in any one place at any one time. Keep moving it around a little bit to make sure you're moving that heat. But it doesn't take much heat at all to make that embossing powder melt. A little bit like heat embossing on vellum. Just got one little bit down there in that leaf. There we go. And we've got a beautiful heat embossed, I'll bring this in so you can maybe see that a little bit better, but a beautiful heat embossed piece of vellum. So now we'll do the second one. Once again, you can see how quickly that heats and melts. So if you haven't done heat embossing on your window sheets before, give it a try, because I was so excited. I thought, you know what? The worst that can happen is I will melt the window sheet and it won't work. But it worked. So I was ever so excited that that actually worked. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take one of these and we're going to flip it over. So we've got the heat embossed on this side. So we're actually going to flip it over and we're going to start coloring with our blends. Now you're going to lay down a few layers here. So the first layer that I'm going to do on my flowers is with my light cherry cobbler. So I'm just going to go over my flowers very quickly, because as this alcohol marker dries, it can put like lines in your image. So you want to try and color these images as quickly as possible. And don't go over any of the color that you've already colored until it dries. So we're going to do each petal individually. It doesn't matter that you go over the gold on the back, as long as you stay within your embossed area. Don't go outside the embossed area, but you're going to color those flowers all in. So we're laying down just a layer of our light cherry cobbler. We're also going to do the buds. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my dark old olive on the leaves. Now we're going to do this process a couple of times just to layer a fair bit of color on this image, so that when we turn it over, we can see a fair bit of color. Okay, so we've done all of the leaves there with our old olive. Now I'm going to go back through with my dark cherry cobbler. So I'm going to turn that over so you can see we've got a beautiful, it's starting, you can start to see that color forming on your image. So we're going to go back over now with our dark cherry cobbler and we're going to do the same thing. So coloring quickly, making sure that when you do the petal that you don't go back over what you've already colored, and lay down some more color on those flowers. So as I said, working in one motion and working in one direction, that you don't go back over what you've already colored. because if you go back over what you've already colored, you're going to lift color where you don't want to lift the color. Okay, so we're going to go back over this one and working in one direction. So I work around the flower, getting that color down. So same with this one here, working in one direction, not going back over while it's still wet, making sure that you don't go back over what you've already colored. And we're going to lay some more color down on that one. And over the buds. And that bud there, and that bud there. Now it's totally okay that it looks messy from this side. It's still looking very neat from that side, okay? So we're going to go back through with our dark old olive and lay some more color down on those. Okay. And I'm thinking that 2 times is quite enough. You can see that there's a fair bit of color there in our image. Now, the reason why we did a second embossed image is so that we can place it in behind, and that's going to cover up all of that coloring, but it's going to show the embossed image from behind, but it's going to color up all of that outline edging of our color. So what we're going to do is, that's definitely dry. So we're going to line these up just like that. And you can see, because we've stamped them using the Stamparatus, but can you see that? It covers up all of our coloring on that back side. So what I decided to do to be able to glue these together is just to use my glue dots. So I've got that in place. And so I thought what I would do is just grab my glue dots and pop some glue dots just on just the very corners of that window sheet, that it's going to glue that window sheet to the other one. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that up, pop a glue dot in there and glue that to the corner. So we're going to do that on all 4 corners so that we make sure that we have those images glued together. Making sure that you're staying right to that outside corner, because you don't want to see the glue dots when we go to put this card together. Okay, so we've got that happening. So we've got our window sheets all done. So it doesn't hurt at this stage to take a dry cloth, or I'm just going to actually use just a paper towel and just polish off any dust that may be on there. Okay, so we've got that it's looking nice and clean and ready to go. All right, so what I've done now for the card base, I've actually cut a card base that I have cut out one of the rectangles out of the front of our card base. Now, the reason that I did that was so that we can pop this gorgeous colored image in behind, and it's going to create a window. Okay, so what I thought I would do is I'm going to line this inside here with some tear and tape. So I'm going to stick very close to that rectangled cut edge. Okay, so as close as I possibly can to that rectangled cut edge. So just like that. And we're going to form an area that we're going to be able to glue our window sheet to. Now, my trick with this is I did actually cut my window sheet down a little bit. So I'm going to bring in the trimmer. And we're going to cut that window sheet down just a smidge. So instead of the 5.5 inches, I'm going to go to 5 3/8 of an inch, and I'm going to, whoops, I'm going to cut that. Okay, so 5 3/8 of an inch there. Then I'm also going to look at, we've got it at 4 inches, so I want to go down to about 3 3/4 inches. And when I look at that, it's not looking too bad as far as the sizing. So we've got 3 3/4 inches there. So we've got that cut down. Now I have a piece of an embossed layer here that is absolutely stunning. And we're going to cover up our insides of our card with this behind. So we're going to bring back in our card base that has the rectangle. We're going to take off the backings off our double-sided tape. And the secret to getting this on is I'm going to, and you can see that I've got a larger rectangle at the bottom, sorry, a larger piece here at the bottom than the top. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to lay this in here. Okay, so I'm going to lay that in there, and I'm just double checking it's, yep, that one's going to fit on the back. So I'm going to lay that in there really nicely where I think I want it to be. All right, and then I'm going to close the card. So simple as that. Close the card, press on that double-sided tape, and we have our gorgeous stained glass look glued into the front. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more double-sided tape on the back here. We're going to go back around that edge again where that rectangle is. And we're going to lay down some more double-sided tape, making sure that we're staying where that rectangle is. Okay, so double-sided tape there, another bit down here. So you can see through your window sheet and you can see where the edge of that rectangle is. Another bit here. And another bit just down there. Okay. We're going to take the backing off that. Now, my layer that I've got in behind here, I've embossed with the tin tiled embossing folder. And I did that just to create a bit of a tiled effect in behind my stained glass look. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, if you can imagine laying this down as a layer in your card, just going to lay that down over the top, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to see our stained glass look with our embossed layer in behind. Isn't that just stunning? Okay, so you may be wondering why in the world was I going to cover it up with this one? And I was actually going to do it like this, and this is why we were going to have a second sheet of window sheet and also to a black frame so that you can actually see all the way through. Okay, so the reason why we did the second one was to actually have it clear that you weren't going to have a backing in behind. So I do apologize for that in the video, but that was actually the whole purpose of the second sheet, was that was what I was actually going to do, was having it look all the way through, that you can see that. So there's two ways that you can do it. You can have that one that's backing in behind, or you can have it like that. And you can see that you can see your sentiment through the front. So two different ways of doing it. If you were doing it the way that you just have this piece in behind, then you don't need that second window sheet. But if you're doing it the way that you want it to be able to be seen from both sides, then you use the second window sheet. Okay? So to finish off this card then, I'm going to, with the insert, I'm actually going to use that stamp, and I'm going to grab some of the, do I have some of the Sahara sand out? Where did I put my Sahara sand? Ink pad. You know what? I'm just going to use grey. I'm going to use grey granite. It's going to have that brownish sort of tinge anyway. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab that gorgeous flower and I'm going to line it up now on a block. And it doesn't matter that I've got the Versamark ink still on that. It doesn't matter. We can actually ink that up with our grey granite. Okay, so I'm then going to stamp this flower on the insert. So just like that. And then I'm going to take one of the sentiments, always and forever. Okay, so I'm going to use that, and I'm actually going to use my cherry cobbler ink. And I'm just going to ink that up and pop that just here, always and forever, which is so, so cute. And then I'm going to pop that to the insert of my card. Okay, so we're going to glue that on the inside. So always and forever. And then on the front, I looked and I thought it needs something more. It needs something really pretty at the front. So I decided I would use some of my black satin ribbon. And I thought I would do a gorgeous bow using my black satin ribbon. So I'm just going to grab this ink out of the way so I don't get that all over me. So I'm going to create a cute bow with my black satin ribbon. So we're going to make a loop, flip it over. Now my trick is I roll my roll of ribbon so that you make sure that you've got it going in the right direction, and I'm going to pop that through. So just like that. And I'm going to pop that on the front, which I think is going to look super, super special. Now, once again, you know my trick. I do absolutely love using double-sided tape to stick my bows on. So I'm actually going to grab a little bit of double-sided tape, maybe about 1/2 inch. I'm going to pop that onto that window sheet there where I want the bow to sit. And I'm going to pop my bow down into that window sheet there. And then I'm going to use some of our gorgeous new gold gilded gems. Now these gilded gems are available in our ornate garden suite. So I think some beautiful gold gems just to top off this gorgeous stained glass look. And one down there. And just to finish it off, a little bit of Wink of Stella spritzed over the top. So I'm going to, with my Wink of Stella, get some in the barrel, and then I'm just going to spritz some of that Wink of Stella all over the front of the card so we get some more glimmer and shine. Okay, so we've got a glitzy, gorgeous look. So hopefully you enjoyed that technique. It's really not that hard. You just need the 2 window sheets and a bit of gold embossing. So you could do this with lots and lots of different colors, lots and lots of different flower stamps, and lots and lots of different embossing. You could use silver embossing, you could use black embossing, white embossing, and do some nice subtle colors. So I just thought I would love to share this gorgeous stained glass technique with you. So there we have a beautiful card. So thank you everyone for watching. If this is the first time you've watched my YouTube channel, please feel free to hit the subscribe button down in that bottom right-hand corner. And then make sure you click the bell notification because that will notify you every time I upload a video. Also, if you wanted to purchase any of the products that I've used today, I will have a supply list down in the Show More box and a link to my online store because I would really appreciate your business if you wanted to purchase any of the items. So thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, have a lovely day. Bye for now.
Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together, you know it's all because everybody plays a part in doing what we love.